Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host, Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day and above all else that you're indeed looking after yourselves and one another. Ladies and gentlemen, the gang and I are back with another segment of Going for the One. And again, we have Jim Bricker. How's it going, Jim?
Hello, 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 hello. I'm doing good.
That's good. And the one and only Ken Cheshire. How's it going, Ken?
Doing good. Good to see you guys. Wrapping this thing up.
That's right. Good to see you. Good to be seen
Last
by
few
you.
episodes, yeah.
There we go.
We are down a man, though.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen,
But he will
Sagosh
return.
unfortunately is feeling under the weather, so we wish you well, Sagosh, and you will be back quicker than you think. Ladies and gentlemen, again, we are back with Going for the One, and as I've said, this is a series of us looking back at our favorite debut albums, and we are nearing the home stretch. We're almost done this. We promise, okay? But we've been having fun doing these episodes. Can't you tell? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, Ken is up with his next pick. Ken?
Thank you, boss. For my final pick, I'm choosing chronologically the newest album of this entire series. We're going to go back to July 28th in 1992. And this is a band that created early on a tradition of recording at least one song off of each album in the nude. But we're going to spare you that for today. And I'm talking, of course, Bare Naked Ladies in their debut album, Gordon. Um, I was at the time living in the part of the most southern part of the United States when this Canadian band released this album. And it wasn't until a few years later that I really heard anything of their stuff on the radio. So they were just virtually, if not literally, unknown where I grew up. I discovered this album from a coworker at the time who was originally from Canada. And she introduced me to this album. And holy geese, this just grabbed me immediately. This is a perfect album for me. 15 tracks, not one bad song on the entire album. And it clocks in at just a hair over 59 minutes. Um, Armando, what's the limit on vinyl?
79 minutes and 59 seconds.
On vinyl.
On
Okay.
vinyl?
Vinyl, sorry, I thought you meant CD. Okay.
Mm,
Vinyl is 40
it's
minutes,
40.
roughly 20
Yeah.
minutes per side. So yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know how they did that unless it was just originally released um, on CD. But anyway,
CD and
50
cassette, maybe.
tracks,
Yeah.
59 minutes.
Yeah.
This is a collection of quirky, eclectic, heartfelt songs that really showcased an amazing level of humor, incredible musicianship, and a real gift for melody and storytelling, all in one album. This is categorized as acoustic pop, humorous alt rock. I mean, there is no one
Yeah.
category you can peg
Yeah.
these guys in. Um, there are a lot of folk and wonderful jazz influences on this album. A lot of incredible tight harmonies. Um, this the songs, the 15 tracks cover just a myriad of themes amongst which would awkwardness, teen awkwardness, Canadian identity, mental health,
Yes.
loneliness,
Yeah.
and a lot of pop culture preferences um, of the time, which seems like it would date the music, but it really doesn't. For those of us that were at least in our teens, at the time, we can listen to it even now, and it becomes a time capsule
It
because
does.
of those references, the references to Rush and all those other, Canadian artists and whatnot. Um,
Yeah, it
this
does. It
album,
does.
yeah, this album has very strong and distinctive vocals by Stephen Page. He has a very unique sounding voice. It's hard to you hear that voice after one note and you know that's him. He was to remain with the band for I think 3 or 4 albums before he left. Unfortunately, they didn't replace him. They just kept on going on as a four-piece after that.
That's right.
There's great guitar work by Ed Robertson, who also shared a lot of lead vocals with Stephen Page, and there's many songs in which they shared the vocals. Yes, Armando.
I was just going to say, Ed and Steven's use of harmony, the way their vocals like blended beautifully, was
Yeah.
just sublime, sublime.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and their voices were so distinct from one another, yet they worked so well together.
together. Yeah, yeah.
And this band, I never got to see them live, but I've read so many times that uh, their onstage chemistry with the audience was just unbelievable. It's just,
Yeah.
they were just like, getting together with a bunch of friends and, very personable, really strong following. This album has some blistering bass work by Jim Cregan, and most of it is on the double bass, which is part of what gives it that jazz feeling.
Hmm.
They do bring out the bass enough where you can really hear him. Um, I'm not used to hearing, bass players shred on a double bass, but he comes. There's some of the passages he does on that. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. It would it would make sense for in classical music to play with a bow and have fast passages, but he's doing it from plucking and it's just amazing. I love the bass work.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and the band is rounded out with some wonderful keyboards by Andy Cregan, Jim's brother, and Tyler Stewart on drums. I mean, the drum mix on this album is it's crisp, it's lively. It's just really great. All these instruments come out so well and they're played impeccably. Um, and there's no flash. This band they're playing together. What they're doing does not, there's no showboating here. Everything is to the service of the song. And that's what makes this such an incredibly tight ensemble.
Hmm.
Um, so you've got very creative song themes with a lot of self-deprecating humor, which I particularly appreciate. And in many ways, it's almost a British type of dry humor. Yet there are serious songs on the album that are incredibly heartfelt and touching. In particular, one song on here called Brian Wilson, which I've been listening to a lot recently for
Yeah,
obvious reasons.
yeah. Rest in peace,
Um,
Brian Wilson. Yes.
it um, it's one of the most melodic, introspective songs about depression and identity. The admiration for the genius of Brian Wilson, um, and it balances a poignancy and wit
Yeah.
and layers of acoustic and electric instruments. And since the passing of Brian Wilson, I've read a lot online that Brian Wilson discovered this album, you know, several years ago,
Hmm.
and they were kind of worried that he would get offended by it. But Brian Wilson embraced it. Actually, Brian Wilson went on to perform it himself on stage, and they developed a relationship. Barenaked Ladies developed a relationship with Brian Wilson over the song. He absolutely loved it, and I can't imagine what that must, what that must be like. The album starts off with a song called Hello City. It's a jazzy, upbeat song. The lyrics are very funny, where they describe a love-hate relationship with Halifax, Nova Scotia. Strange sounding theme, but oh man, you really get a sense for their humor, a lot of honesty. Like I said, and it's got that jazz flavor that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
One of their standout early hits is called Enid. Not a name that we hear every day for a woman.
Mm-hmm.
This has really got great brass. And I crack up because the brass section that they hired for this recording was called Jimmy Crack Horns.
That's
Right?
right.
Get that reference?
That's right. How do you
I
know
don't
more
care.
about Canadian musicianship than I do right now? It's like it's hilarious.
Yeah, well,
You're reminding
this
me
is
of
an
this
album
stuff.
that has sent me down a rabbit hole,
Yeah, you're reminding me
so
of
long
this.
ago.
Jesus
And
Christ.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a breakup song. It's a breakup song. It's got this almost frenetic energy.
Yeah.
It's very upbeat, incredibly layered vocals. And regardless of all of that, there's a nice introspection um, within the lyrics. This is a wonderful mix of quirky instrumentation, upbeat zaniness, yet the theme still comes through the introspection of a breakup. And so it's really wild how they are able to mix these things together so wonderfully.
Yeah.
Another favorite of mine off this is called Grade 9.
Oh, this is me in grade 9.
This
Yeah.
is me in Grade 9, baby. Yeah. Where they're it's basically about the awkwards of adolescence. It's bouncy, it's ska flavored, a lot of humorous references to high school life, um, hormones and pop culture. And, it accurately describes what it's like to be a nerd or a geek
In grade
in
9.
middle school. It was that way for me. So, the jocks and the popular kids, like to make my life miserable. And it sound
I
like
know
they
that.
did the same. There's a lot of references to Canadian culture in this, as far as Rush and other things. Another hilarious song is called "Be My Yoko Ono." Uh, it's cheeky. It's a great song about obsessive love. Um, and of course the lyrics referencing the relationship between John and Ono. Um, and even the video that they made for it has video clips of John and Yoko and whatever.
Can I just
Yeah,
interject
yeah,
something?
please do.
When you mentioned Bima Yoko Ono, they they did I guess you say an audition tape of this in a video booth at the corner of Queen and John Street in Toronto for on C, at where when it was City TV. Now it's the Bell Building in Toronto, Bell Media, and that audition video I guess got them the attention from City TV, which eventually led them to being noticed on the local scene. So yeah, no, they had a lot of chutzpah.
Yeah,
They had a lot of push and drive
yeah,
to get
yeah,
noticed. Yeah.
yeah. And the chorus is, "You can be my Yoko Ono. You can follow me wherever I go. Be my Yoko Ono." So it's, I say it's very tongue in cheek,
Yeah.
and the melodies in all these songs have incredible hooks to them
Yeah.
too.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
there's but there are serious songs here too. There's What a Good Boy, which talks about societal expectations
Yeah.
of young boys and young girls, and
Yeah.
just really introspective in a good way. Um, The Flag is another one. Um, Very somber and haunting, um, and deals with domestic abuse and
Jeez.
silent suffering. Um, and then you've got a song called Box Set, which is a scathing comment on the music industry. And I always think of Armando when I hear this song, who is the king of box sets amongst our group.
Jesus.
So
Would you
anyway,
Okay.
deny such a thing, good sir?
yes,
No, I would not. Actually, I would not.
All right.
the guy who would take a time machine and go back and buy stock in Amazon. A fantastic song called "New Kid on the Block," who takes a swipe at the new kids on the block. However, it's also a song about feeling like an outsider. It's also very uptune, growing up and about growing up in change
Yeah.
and all of that. I think the first song I ever heard off this album was the hit "If I Had $1 Million."
Yeah. Yeah.
This is huge. This is a very whimsical um, song. It imagines all the absurd and crazy things that one would do if you had $1 million.
Yeah. I'd
And
be rich. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so there's and it's kind of a dialogue between two of the band members, and this is when I think in particular that they would
Yeah.
stretch out in their concerts,
Yeah.
and do some improvising, and the audience would really be able
Yes.
to join in and have fun with.
Oh yeah. I'm bouncing
And
here
then
because I remember it. Yeah. So
yeah,
yeah,
um,
this was
there's
part
a
of my
great song.
20s.
Yeah, there's a great song called "Blame It on Me," which is another one of the serious ballads. Really strikes me. It's about guilt, relationships, and emotional responsibilities. And they do all of this with such incredible, rich harmonies and a strong, wonderful melody. Um, and then it ends on this amazing song called "Crazy." And on the vinyl, it's a hidden track. So after if you have the vinyl, you listen to "If I Had $1 Million." Don't take the needle off the vinyl yet. There is another diamond coming. It's just a short jazzy jam with abstract lyrics. It's it's amazingly catching, um, and like I said, it's the perfect ending to an incredible album.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Um,
buy it.
yeah, I don't
Seriously.
normally do track by tracks on these series, but each one of these songs is so incredibly unique in its own way. To me, this is I like a lot of the stuff that came after this, but this is the one album I think has the most humor and the combination of humor and poignancy to it. That for me, this is like a greatest hits package for me.
Yeah.
And these are 15 songs out of 20 that they had chosen for the album. Now, I don't remember researching at what the other five songs were. I suspect they would have ended up on the next album. But man, yeah, if you got to choose that many songs and all of these be such incredible songs, it's amazing. But that's not unusual for a debut album
Hmm.
because the band will usually use whatever they have. They'll put the best that they have on a debut album to make it hit, which is why a lot of sophomore albums tend to suffer because they've got such a smaller amount of time in which to write for the second album when all these have been stewing for years. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now on this. But
You're
my
doing fine.
final, my final debut album for this series is Gordon from Bare Naked Ladies. A lot of people recognize the band Bare Naked Ladies, but they recognize it for their later stuff. But holy cow, you betcha, this is some good stuff from 1992.
Yeah, this album, Jim, I'm going to need your help with this for demonstration. This album is, you know how we say dripping with Mellotron? Dripping with Canadiana references and
Yes,
Canadian
yes,
Canadian themes overall. It
in
is,
a great
and
way.
the fact that they just say quickly the fact that they were signed to Seymour Stein's Sire Records.
Mhm.
You know, these kids basically that were signed, out of Toronto, and got signed to a major label deal in the U.S. And they were the toast of Toronto and they still are. I mean, and they're still recording albums to this day. I
Yep,
mean, in one configuration or another. And
and touring.
um, yeah, and the way they did it, the way they got noticed was just touring and pushing and getting attention and getting noticed. Um, they would go on to work with Susan Rogers as a producer for one of their albums. Susan Rogers, who engineered a majority of most of the Prince recordings in the mid to late '80s, and they would gain, you know, uh, I believe their one and only Billboard #1 single with "One Week" from the
Yep,
album "Stunt."
yes.
So it was a hard push for them, and it was a long push.
Mhm.
And obviously recording the theme to Big Bang Theory, and the story for that is Ed Robertson came up with the idea for the lyrics in the shower in 20
Sure.
minutes. In 20 minutes.
Which
And they wrote it, they recorded
a
it,
dangerous rabbit hole to go down, but
and
yeah.
there you go.
Well, yeah, certainly.
There you go. So no, good choice. Good choice. Good choice. But yeah, fantastic, fantastic band. And I won't even, I'm okay. The controversy with the band was they were going to perform on New Year's Eve in Nathan Phillips Square, but the mayor at the time thought that their name was quite
Yeah,
offensive
yeah.
to the general public, so they banned them from performing at Nathan Phillips Square for New Year's Eve, which is total bullshit. But that's as a Torontonian, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, guys. There you have it. Another episode of Going for the One. A fantastic choice, Gordon from Bare Naked Ladies by Ken. Thank you so much. I am going to listen to the album today because it hurts just
Yeah.
remembering that stuff.
Well,
I'm 20. I'm 22 again. I'm 22 again. Thank you so much for that. It's wonderful. So, guys, again, put your comments about this album down below and put comments about any albums of debut albums that you feel that we should listen to and pay attention to. And click like and subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep yourselves on top of any new content we've got coming up. And if you like what you're watching so far, please do revisit or visit a series of episodes that we did, 31 perfect albums that we did for last August. So please go check it out on the channel. It's there. It was an exercise in fun. And that's what we try and do on this channel is have fun, damn it. And yeah, it was fun then, and this is fun now. And Sagosh, please rest up. We miss you. We'll see you soon. And we'll see you also again on another episode of Going for the One. We're nearing the end, folks. So this has been great. So we'll see you soon. Have a good day. Bye for now.